everyone. Hey, and welcome back to yet another episode of BattleRapresume. This is your host, Tom Quee. I'm here with Sol. Sol, how's it going, man?
Too bad, man. How's yourself?
I'm well, and, you know, you were a little bit away from the scene for a while following the Shox battle, which, you know, you are back in huge capital letters. Crazy.
Back, baby.
Yeah.
Back, baby.
Just like, you know, as a fan of yours, everyone is a fan of yours, it has been crazy to see you on the run you're going on, man. And you said in the post-Premier Battles interview that, you know, you have this work ethic. And where does that come from? Is that just a high standard that you hold yourself to in all walks of life, or...?
Yeah, comes from my dad.
Yeah.
Best work ethic.
Yeah.
Of everyone. Yeah, a lot of people in life have really high work ethics. My girlfriend has an insane work ethic. My dad has a ridiculous work ethic. So it's just like, yeah, just instilled in me. And be honest, like all those people that I just mentioned put my work ethic to shame. But, you know, try to live up to their example.
Just before we get into the battles as well, obviously I want to say rest in peace, Bender.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure, man.
It's, you know, terrible what happened, and I saw you know, you posted about it, saying how his work will be studied in the future. It was a lovely tribute.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's impossible to have
of course,
like I said, man, to have actually listened to it and not have been inspired by it, and like, well, I'll always be like sort of striving towards it and never reaching it, but you need that, right? Like we're all on the shoulders of giants, so to speak. So
yeah.
You need to have that sort of unreachable level to strive towards, or I do anyway, to know that like I'll never be that good, but like to have something to like strive towards is good, because then you never feel like you've sort of completed the game, so to speak.
Definitely, and I mean, you sort of beat the final boss in Tony, which we'll get to, which was sort of like an underwhelming boss. Like I remember in Spider-Man 2, the game, when you fight Mysterio, and it's built as this huge thing. You sort of got to get through this tower, and you get to, and you kill him in one punch, because it's all a sort of charade. And you know, we can get to that with Tony. But
is that guy's name not Calypso or something? Was that the game where the guy's got the big glass dome head or whatever?
Yeah, wasn't it Mysterio? I'm pretty sure it was.
I swear it was Calypso. Like,
it wasn't Calypso.
I swear it was Calypso. All right.
Okay. Well, hang on. I'm gonna find that out. Yes, but Mysterio. Yeah, it is Mysterio. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, you're right.
OG
Calypso.
I don't know who Calypso is.
I think it's like a lollipop or something. That's a Calippo, right?
Calippo. Yeah.
That all fucked up.
But shout out Mysterio, sort of slept on Spider-Man villain. But talk about Shox. So this was a long time ago now, and we've discussed battles since on the show with you, but we never actually got a chance to look back on the Shox battle as a whole. I mean, it's been pretty much a year since it happened.
More than a year.
Not quite. No, I think it was April 2018, 2017.
Yeah, you're right.
That it went down.
You're right.
So don't question me on Mysterio. Don't question me on Tones.
Do you know what I was thinking? Because I was thinking that because it was concrete, that Tony was like the battle of the year after, like how they have an event every year of like similar magnitude at similar venues. That's fucked me up. But yeah, you're right. It's not quite. I should have known better than to question your knowledge of dates that battles went down.
Okay.
No fans upset, no debates, no ifs, no ands, buts, yeah. Because I've raised the whole roster as a hands-on threat. You ain't the next one up, you just the last one left. The upper half and middle. He already know what tier he in, he barely hopes he'll make it close. I can't take him serious. If he's Shox, then you're Thunder. Because I'm definitely seeing him, and the noise you make will let us know how far away from me.
It's been about a year, as we say, since the Shox battle. In reflection, like, do you still feel you lost? Because a lot of people argue. You still do.
Yeah, I still feel. I mean, it's easy to like look like through the lens of the past or whatever, and be like certain battlers have like material that ages better than others. But and I said like. Right, so Bender's a perfect example of that, right? Yeah. Like, in my opinion, there is battles that, like, Bender has lost in the past, but if you, like, go back and watch it now, there's no question whose material, like, ages better.
Yeah.
And that's not saying that there's no question that my material aged better than Shox or whatever. It's just, like, it's inherent in our writing style, right? That mine's has a little bit, like, more permanence, whereas Shox is more, like, in and of the moment, but that's how you judge battles. Like, in and of the moments, they're won and lost, like, in the venue, or at least, like, in the era that I came up in. You couldn't like hide behind this, oh, we'll look better on cam type bullshit, right? Like he definitely did win the battle, no question.
Yeah, and it's an incredible battle. I just watched it back this morning, and I think the energy is insane in the room as well. People are really responding to what you're putting forward. And one of the things that I was, wondering was that, Shox, he comes with such a aggressive style. Had you faced someone like that before? I'm trying to think, like someone so brute force.
Battled Yunnan twice.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty aggressive. I think like that people like overplay that, like in the build up to battles, like how much of an impact is that going to have? At least for me or whatever. Like when someone's shouting and screaming in my face, like I've been doing it long enough where it didn't rattle me. I imagine like if that was my tryout or whatever, and I just had this big angry dude like shouting at me or whatever, I might startle me or whatever. But I mean, not now, because I know like that obviously it's just all.
Oh yeah,
it's all just a performance, So.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't. I don't really think it plays into it too much. Well, it doesn't for me anyway. But
no. I'm trying to think of battles where you see someone get really rattled by an opponent who's really aggressive. It doesn't. I know what you're saying. It's just more of an edifice. It doesn't seem to have too much impact on the other person. Although, arguably, I don't want to skip ahead, but sort of you set the foregone conclusion in the first round of the Tony battle, talking about him choking and stumbling, and then he sort of plays into the trap there. But Shox is first. I mean, we sort of broke down the battle with Shox, and just watching it back, it is just a incredible punch count there. The sort of stepping on my rock, maybe a household name. The way he twiddles his fingers when he does that as well, I think really sells the bar. Catch cases on rotation, Heathrow. Two legends got heat covered, De Niro and Pacino. It's wonderful. So, Shakespeare, you don't hear enough Shakespeare in battle rap. What I've done can murder a Scot, it's nothing to kill the king. You want to play the curse and all the sorts of. So clean.
I don't know if it was in the first round, but I remember my favourite round he said, because people have done this kind of stuff before, but like the way that he worded it was like, where he was like, first 3 years nobody fuck with you. I ain't been here 3 years and I'm stood here in front of you. Yeah. That's like so clean. Like that duality to paint, like that's just very clean. That's what impressed me the most, because I knew he had could do punchlines and the sort of like quotation marks like bars where you've got it's just a bar with wordplay at the end, and rely on that. But I didn't know he could do that as well. I was super impressed.
The Shox Thunder bar in the first, the noise you make will let us know how far away from he is. To me, that's one of the greatest bars I've ever heard. And I think a lot of people concur. I remember in the room, seeing it from the back of the room, and just the originality of the flip in of itself, but bringing the crowd into it, and just I don't know. There's something quite evocative in your description as well, because you feel it in your head, the distance there. Are you proud of that one?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I thought it was an interesting thing to try out, where like you said, the sort of crowd reacting to the bar kind of is the subject of the bar.
Yeah.
And then it's a challenge of making the bar good enough that they will react, and then start off that kind of that cycle or whatever. Because the more they react, the more it plays into what the punch is. The more it plays into what the punch is, the more they react, and starts a sort of upward spiral. So I thought it'd be an interesting technique to try out, and fortunately worked out pretty well.
Yeah. I don't think I've really seen anything like that before. It's something that I imagine you may have wrote early on when you come up with ideas. It seems like quite an obvious flip, and it's very effective. How's it getting peak for me? Because this is the peak for you.
Yeah, it's pretty early on.
Yeah.
The slogans are always the first thing you look at. So for me anyway, see if there's anything there. Yeah. If they have a slogan, then see if they can flip that on them. Yeah,
it's terrific, because it's just matching fire with fire, really. Shox's first round is irresistible, and you come out the gate as well. I love anything that reminds me of the salad days of the PS1 era Soul. When I dual shocks when his vibe's rated and his pad's getting rumbled.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
I mean, do you remember Ape Escape, the game? I always ask battlers this.
I do not remember Ape Escape, I'm afraid.
It's sort of like a PS1 platformer, but a lot of people remember Ape Escape because it was the first game where you needed a DualShock controller to actually play the game. It wouldn't work on the old controller. And I remember a very disappointed Christmas as an 8-year-old, not being able to play it on Christmas morning, and we had to get the extra controller as another present. So yeah, it's a bit of insight into the Quee household.
That's the first version of DLC.
Yeah,
the paywall.
Oh, what are your thoughts on modern DLC? Is it just sort of
Pretty disgusting,
isn't it? Right?
Yeah, I mean, like, right. So, I mean, the games that I play aren't like DLC
Yeah.
related, right? Like, I don't really play anything that requires DLC. So I'm not really affected by it. But just on principle, if you buy the game, you should be able to play like the full game. You can't like buy part of the game and have the rest of it behind like a paywall. That's fucked up.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know if you saw recently the new Metal Gear Solid game. You have to pay $10 to start a new game. Like, what the hell?
Ridiculous, man.
It's unbelievable. Like, I'm from the era. I remember, like, PC games. The DLC was like big boxes. Big expansion pack boxes that you could have, rather than just small cosmetics things. And it's just that was odd. And I know you're a bit of a gamer yourself. I've not played it, just out of interest. A lot of people are crazy for Fortnite. Are you into that, or?
I play PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I've played a bit like Fortnite with my mates or whatever, but most of us play PlayerUnknown's instead of Fortnite. So most of the time you just like gravitate towards the games that your friends play, right? So yeah, I mean Fortnite it looks like a lot cleaner, a lot like more optimized. Definitely looks like it's more of a console version of the Battle Royale game. It looks like more console friendly in terms of like the frames and stuff, and the sort of rendering that would be required. I think the map's a bit smaller and looks a bit less detail than PlayerUnknown's, but yeah, it's good. It looks fun. I quite like the Battle Royale game. Obviously, it's just like another fad that's going to pass, but it's fun while it lasts.
It's huge right now, though, isn't it? I mean, especially with a certain demographic, it seems like a sort of. I mean, judging by Twitch as well. I mean, look, I don't really know gaming. Ape Escape is where it sort of ends for me.
Starts and stops.
That's it. Shox says running out the blue like a cold tap, which is one of those things that's. I mean, it's the classic. How did you not think of that before, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. It's one of those where it's like, fuck, why didn't I think of that? It's a fucking great bar.
Change your whole view of London when your eyes taken a shard.
Yeah, that was all right.
You didn't think that was great?
Yeah, I thought it was a good bar.
Yeah.
It's like in a round full of like incredible bars that one doesn't particularly stand out.
Yeah. Okay.
I get it. I understand like the duality, like the whole view of London, like the view of London. Your eye takes in a shot. It's a little bit contrived.
Sure.
Like you have to like get into like the whole. Then I break the glass. Then I put it in your eyes. It just feels a bit like I don't know. I mean, it's good. It's really really good. I just like it's. All you can really do is nitpick, right, when you're analysing that round because it's so good.
Yeah.
So there's no real point in like saying, yeah, that's a great bar, yeah, it's a great bar, because that creates this like false equivalency, like whatever that word is. But like that they're all the same when you're just like, yeah, it's great, yeah, it's great. But there are like a few things here that you could improve, minor things, but it's just like nitpicky, obviously.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, flow that carries soul like the river Styx. Is, inspired, there's so much shade from Sun in reference to Rowan, leaving you Parasol.
Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah.
Very clean.
Really,
can't really improve it.
Yeah. So much brain damage. You won't know how to behave yourself.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's a good one as well. Delivered it, like sold it really well.
Yeah, and Shox can mention Smurfs and pull it off. Hate anyone that's blue like Gargamel, which. A little bit more garbled for me, but
I mean it's clean, right? Yeah. Like it works. It's just the blue thing. Again, you're nitpicking, right? Because the round's like so good that you can't. All you can do is nitpick. So yeah, it's all you can really say, and this is like no indictment of the bar at all. Is that it's not like one of the standouts of the round, but that doesn't mean it's not a good bar. It's just because the rest of the round was like so fucking unbelievable.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people seem conflicted on your second round, Sol. Talking about Shox, his psychologist, advising him to get a sim, and then on Christmas, encouraging people to message him if they're feeling lonely, if they're feeling in a vulnerable
stand by that round 100%.
Yeah?
Yeah. 100%. I stand by that round.
I was one of the lame guys, and I think I did it in my recap. I was like, Shox is being so nice, Sol's misreading this, blah, blah, blah. But watching it back, actually, it is hilarious. I think you play it for all it's worth. Like, what was the thought process behind the round?
Just like obviously, like, his style of battling is quite, like, aggressive. And in order to, like, sort of have that get the full effect of that, you need to believe or get him to make you believe that he is just this like ruthless, like sociopath. Like the bar's like, you won't know how to behave yourself and all this, right? To buy into that, you need to a certain extent, for that period of time, believe that he is just this like crazy sociopath. So doing that round kind of like strips some of that away from him.
And talking of shitty DLC, more death on his Sims than a psychopathic kid.
Yeah, that was alright. It was more just like one of those bars to like transition from like joke stuff into more serious stuff. So you need to have like bridges in your material, like kind of like music, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're writing a piece of music, you can't just go from like the verse and then absolutely nothing and then just like shred an absolute solo or whatever. It's just like weird, right? They'll have like bridges in it. And it's kind of like that when you're writing battles. You need like bridge material. Doesn't necessarily have to be your strongest stuff, but it just like gets you from one idea to the next in a sort of way that crowd can't really pinpoint exactly when you switched your either the aggression levels or the content that you're talking about. You need to try and make it like one seamless idea. So it was just one of those bridge things. It was okay. It's not a fantastic bar, but it's just one of those ones where it's like necessary to go between two ideas.
Yeah, and I think everyone killed their Sims in certain ways. You know, that was the
For
allure
sure.
to a certain extent. Rebel flagging in the hood like Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, I like that bar.
Yeah, the Manhunt face change like Manhunt is a crazy bar. I never actually played that game. Was it as crazy as people made out at the time?
For its time, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously now, like you go back now, it's like tame, right? But
yeah,
at the time, yeah, it was fucking crazy. It was actually like, if I remember rightly, like obviously there's only like a certain level that media storms could go to back then because social media wasn't really a thing. So it wasn't really like a giant media storm because of just the function of the time. Like media storm wasn't really possible unless it was like an absolute mainstream piece of news, but it did get like mainstream coverage. It's like this game is inspire murder. Like someone killed someone in America and like said that Manhunt made them do it or something.
Jesus Christ, yeah. And
Okay.
it was Rockstar, was it? Yeah, I think so.
I believe so. I'm
Some sort of
not. I wouldn't like swear by it.
No.
But I think it was. Yeah.
What did you think in the third of Shox talking about the hypocrisy of the sort of Jefferson Price incident, and then you getting your biggest reaction for exposing Raptor?
Do you mean like as an angle, or do you mean do I think it's a valid point? Do you like in an argument, or do I believe it's hypocritical? No, not at all. No.
Why not?
Because Raptor spoke about it himself on a track, so it wasn't me exposing anything. It's something that he's spoken about publicly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not cross-examining you, I should say. I'm just sort of...
No, I understand you're not, but I'm just saying, like, you're asking me, like, why I don't think it's hypocritical, that's why. Like, if Raptor had, like, we had been out in South Africa, he had never released, like, any tracks about it, and he was like, oh, mate, let me tell you this story. One time, I had this argument with my missus, it just went all crazy. Obviously, I'm not going to say that in the battle, that's a private conversation, and something that hasn't come to light publicly. Aside from the, like, caustic thing, like, that, something that, like, I accept, like, full fault for it. This is not me, like, trying to, like, condemn what he did still. Like, I'm still hung up on it, like, 6 years later, because I'm not, like, I could give a fuck, like, either way. But I do think there are two different situations. But, hey, whatever, man.
Yeah, of course. It's battle rap, bitch. So, Shox's third round as well is an amazing exhibition. I think it's some of his all-time best stuff. The bringing two elements to the table, only gets reaction periodically. The fourth birthday stuff, as we say. Witness intimidation, just fucking lie in a box. Matter underground, like a hadron collider. I mean, we can keep going forever. Bullets go in vest on the low to keep them silent, partner.
Brilliant. Yeah. Just like, all this, like, I kind of thought, like, this guy's punchlines are going to get old, and then I'll just be able to take over later in the battle, but they were just so good that it just, like, never got old. So it's like, well, shit, dude, what are you going to do? Yeah, but no, incredible round.
And I remember we spoke before when we did those sort of little interviews for Don't Flop or whatever, and you said that your third round, was very much a different round. You were taking a bit of a different tact with it. A lot of people love this third round, it seems. A lot of people celebrate it. Again, I think it was slightly misunderstood at the time, or people didn't expect it. People thought you were going to just have this, third round where you just took the game over, but it didn't necessarily happen. Again, what was the thought process behind this round? Rather than just to punch his lights out, you went a bit more introspective.
Yeah, I have no fucking idea.
Well, you don't know what you did.
No idea. I have no idea what I was thinking, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I think it started off as like I was writing something and I was like, oh, this is really good. Let's see like how far I can take this. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Look, I've written this is amazing. And then it's like, it's not really battle rap though, is it? I mean, I guess it is, right? Because it is like sort of in some way attacking them, but it's just like, it's so fucking abstract that it's just like, it's pretty much as close to like as like objectively wrong an approach as you could take for Shox as you can get like from a strategy standpoint, which is weird because I think that's the thing that like I'm best at in battle rap is sort of like strategizing. I'm not necessarily like, the best punchline writer or the best guy with multis or whatever, but I just have a pretty solid grasp on strategy. But yeah, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
Yeah.
I don't actually think the round's that good, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know everyone dealt like. I know there is like a select like of culty.
It's cult
fans of that round. But it's just like I don't know, man. I disagree with them. Like I don't
it's
think
like
it's
The Room or something.
So,
it's just Soul's third against Shox. Yeah,
exactly. If nothing else, it's very polarizing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the imagery. You know, the mounds of the remains, the sulfur, the ground shaking, and it's vivid, and you can't tell you've been there for 10 seconds or thousands of days. And when you deliver that, people are like, ooh, it's almost like people want to respond to it as a punchline, but it's not really. You're just sort of building this world building. But
kind of, yeah.
But there's still some really good lines here. What is he called? The rebel, the arse fell out him, and
second round. Like I thought, all right, I'll do this. If that works, then it's gonna be as a platform for people to react to my punchlines. But I'll have punchlines, like so. If it doesn't work, at least I can fall back on them in case he has a bad round. Then like obviously there's still like some justification for someone to say that I took it because I did have a good strong second half. Yeah. There was like some elements of strategy in the sense of like how I structured the rounds and that, but in like the strategy behind having 2/3 of my rounds just being like jerking myself off, like look how smart I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like pathetic, really.
Well, I mean, you say it's a pen versus a paintbrush, which is
I mean, it was all right. It wasn't all right. It was awful. I don't know. Like there was like some moments in it where it's like so obviously like the writing in it's like not awful. It was difficult to write, and I guess I'm like proud of it in a sense of like as a standalone piece, but like in like a broader sort of battle sense, it's dreadful in my opinion. But
you evoke it interestingly in your first, which we'll get to against Dialect, saying you learn from your mistakes. The battle pretty much closes up from there. I mean, again, there's lots of great stuff. He's in your mid-30s, you're in your mid-20s. How are you looking up to me? Very iconoclastic approach. And Shox was announced champ, which was a joyous occasion really in the room, and not on your part, but just people were very, very happy.
I was happy for him, man. Yeah. Couldn't agree more with the decision. So was happy for him.
And was there any weight off the shoulders, no longer being the champ, or do you not really see it that way?
He didn't really like carry much weight. I mean, it was a bit of a pain in the arse where it's like, right, I have to have like a pro free like every year. I can't fucking do anything. Like, But I mean, other than that, like, no, it's like a battle anyway, dude. So might as well be the champion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So fuck it. But no, it wasn't like a weight off my shoulder. It wasn't like I was like happy to lose, but I would have been like upset to win. Like if I had won that battle, I would have been like pretty upset.
And there was a few more events, I think, after this, maybe 2 or 3 don't flop events. But
sorry, I should like clarify. I don't mean like upset to win. Like before the battle started, I'd be like, I hope I don't win this. I mean like the way the battle went. Like if I had won it, like got the decision, and that exact battle had happened that way, like I would have been like, that's bullshit.
I still do think Shox won. But it's a hair's breadth. It's not like you and Tony, And
do you think so? Like I don't think it's like that. I mean, I get like I could see like you could construct an argument, I guess, like where you're like, if you want to judge it like solely on like purely on rounds, then obviously it comes down to the second, right?
Yeah.
Like no one would dispute that. It's like pretty clear. And if the second is like moderately close, then I could see like an argument for someone saying, so the first two Shox got the second, and then I guess wouldn't argue with it. I would disagree with it, but hey, fuck it, right? But like as like a whole round, I feel like I got the first like 10-9. Second round can go either way, and then Shox's third was like a 10-7 or whatever. So it's just like, I mean, do you really want to split hairs over the second round when he had such a clear win in the third? Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And that way of scoring battles by rounds, are you in favour of that, or?
I would be in favour of a more sort of like points-based system.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, rather than like just saying like, oh, you got the first, you got the second, you got the third, because that system is just like awful, right? I mean, like imagine like me versus Tony, right? Like I get the first two, and then I have like a choke where in my third round where I literally say like 2 bars and I choke the rest of the round. Right. Did I win that battle 2-1?
Yes, I'd still say you did.
I mean, you're wrong because I choked an entire round. You can't do that and win a battle. It's impossible. You spit 2/3 of the material and got 2 bars out. Like I completely disagree with the fact that like I think if you have a complete like round ended choke, then that disqualifies you from winning. And it would be akin to like being knocked out in the third round. I think like a points-based system is much better. I'm not really like a huge fan of the Premier Battle scorecard or whatever. I think it's too.
It's very specific, isn't it?
Well, I just think it's like it makes battle rap solvable, right? If you see like the amount of that you see like all the categories that have been posted online, you could like theoretically craft like an unbeatable round by those scorecards. But it's an art form, right? So you want there to be that like subjectivity. And I don't think you want to throw that art form away just in the name of accuracy or whatever. Like, because ultimately, like, you win or lose a battle, like, such a subjective form. Like, everyone's going to have their opinions. There's people in the comments that think Tony beat me, which like I'm fine with. Like, it's completely subjective, right? And that's what I love about battle rap. There's no real constraints. There's a million ways that you can do it, and there's no like ceiling for each individual way. But I think when you introduce like an actual, okay, this is the way to battle. This is how we're going to score you. It's just a bit like takes it away. But I do think we could do with, if we're going to judge battles, a more like similar to like mixed martial arts, right? Because there's subjective elements to that judging. But I mean, there's a pretty clear consensus most times, at least by the wisdom of the masses, who would be scored what and what round. Like if you do a 10-point must system.
There were a few events after this, after Checkpoint 4. Serious Jones vs. Respect BA just came out today, by the way. I don't know if you saw.
I haven't seen it yet. I plan to watch it.
Finally got released. A brilliant battle. But there were a few events after this. I think there was a Roundhouse event. There was like a Maple Falls, etc. But there weren't any more big events. And then Don't Flop sort of disintegrated. I mean, briefly, what are your thoughts on this? It must have been with some sadness that you saw it happen.
Yeah, obviously, man. Obviously, I don't want to see it happen. But in terms of like thoughts, like about who's right, who's wrong, like, I mean, obviously, right? Like, I don't have any like personal problem with her. I've never had any personal problem aside from obviously the caustic thing, but that was resolved. But obviously, like, I'm closer with like Liam and Bamalam and that. So, but. I don't know enough about the inner work. I mean, I know like the one side of the story that has been put out publicly, but it's not really any of my business. Like what went down like behind closed doors. Nor do I really want to make it my business and like start picking sides and stuff, because that's really got me nothing but trouble in my life so far. I used to be like very well, as is evidenced by the Jefferson Price situation, like very like fuck that, this is my side, I'm with them, and make someone else's problems my problems. But I'm just not really doing that anymore, and I don't really know enough about it, even if I did want to like take up strongly for one side. I mean, obviously I'm closer friends with like Bamalam and Bagnall, but it's just like I wasn't there. I wasn't in the group chat. I didn't see any of like the bank statements, and nor do I really want to. So I don't really have any comment to make on it, on that side of it. But in a sense of like, am I sad it happened? Like, yeah, obviously. Yeah. I'd much rather it didn't happen for loads of reasons. For the people involved that lost money or whatever, and just the fact that it was the biggest league in the scene, obviously.
Yeah, and fruitful things have happened in its demise. Lots of leagues have sprouted out, and before we get onto the Dialect battle, it seems like you took a little bit of a break by your scheduling. Anyway, it was a little bit of I think like 6 months or so that you're battling. Was that purposeful, or was that just opportunities not available?
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I feel like my scheduling, like how often people think I battle, for some reason, is there some like Mandela effect going on or something with it? Like there was quite a big space between my battles pretty much since Caustic.
Yeah.
The really the year that I battled like C major through to when I battled Caustic, that year was nuts. Yeah, I did like 10, 11 battles or something. That was a fuck ton of battles that year. But like my scheduling since then, there generally has been like 5-6 month breaks before in between my battles.
Yeah.
So I feel like people that just either haven't noticed that or like, but yeah, it's just a case that like a bit older now, got like more responsibilities and don't really have enough time for it. Like to be doing, just go off on like 10 battles a year or whatever. It's not feasible. So. Yeah.
And you and Dialect, which was a surprise battle. I was there myself, and everyone was so excited when this got announced.
And let's go with Yunnan and Gemini, because I remember when this hoe thought we couldn't hear his bars, only registered the flow. So he rapped very, very slow. We caught everything he wrote, and he got buried by them both, because it's better when we don't. Yo, that's why you verse me as certain death. Cause the shit I write is Sun Tzu on psilocybin mushrooms and Percocets. See, my best performances get even better when they're heard again, and your best performances are when we barely understood a word you said.
I loved how they announced Volume 3 and then got straight into this battle, and Volume 3 sort of playing in the background as well, which gives it a certain character. How did this battle come about?
Two of the battles, I was coming down anyway to do the live reveal of me versus Tony.
Yeah.
Which was supposed to be done like on the stage, but Shox had to leave and everything was like in a bit disarray.
Right.
After that, like I think Shox is pretty pivotal to Chalked Out from like an organizational standpoint. Seems like the authoritarian figure that every league needs. Not that he's like Iron Fist or whatever.
No.
You know what I mean? Like someone definitely who gets shit done. The live reveal like wasn't done as it was supposed to be done, but that's initially what I was there down for. And then Shox was like on the phone with me or something. He was like, yeah, we've had all these dropouts and that, and he was like, I was going to ask you to do one, but like obviously it's taken this long. And I was like, well, I'll still do one. And he's like, yeah, but it's like we don't really, and I was just like, nah, don't worry about like that side of things. Like I'm coming down anyway. If it's just like a little like 90-second one. And he's like, all right, cool, let me hit up someone. And then came back, he was like, do I do Dialect? I was like, hey. Well, it's all the same to me, man. Right. So
yeah, great matchup.
Yeah, no, it's fun, man. It's weird that it like hasn't happened yet, but it's always nice. It was really good as well. Fun, good round length. I prefer that round length, the sort of 90-second rounds. So good fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And even weirder than the matchup not happening. Am I right in thinking this is the first time you battled in Fiddler's Elbow?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, obviously geographically it's a bit more difficult for you to be at these London events regularly, but it was a treat being there as well and seeing you perform. And yeah, like shorter round lengths as well. Fantastic battle this is. Again, the quality is just outstanding, and Dialect has a brilliant first as well. His Star Wars scheme, the rebel scum, still ended up getting Sun like the old Vader, and the whole Lone Ranger, 4-man in my grill and still smack him like Joe Frazier.
Yeah, fucking outstanding. Man.
Yeah. I mean, really, really, really good. Money off the written like a ransom note.
Yeah, dude, he had loads of here. Is that like that rebel? Son, that bar is like so good.
Yeah.
Like honestly, it's like the amount of like layers to it, like constructed round. I mean, obviously like rounds is a bit whatever, but I mean like when you're doing it as just part of like a bigger thing, like it's not the focal point, it's fine. I think for me, do you know what I mean? Like it's not the focal point, isn't the rounds wordplay? It's just something that like adds onto it, right? Mm-hmm. So he's like constructed rounds for the rebel scum. So Shox the rebel scum, and still ended up getting Sun because the Death Star is like a sun. Just baffled. So good.
What did you think of The Last Jedi?
I've not seen that. I'm not a big Star Wars fan.
No, me neither. I didn't really like it for what it's worth. But yeah,
I haven't even seen like all the prequels. So.
Have you not? Have you not seen Phantom Menace or anything like that?
I've seen the Phantom Menace,
but not.
And I've seen Attack of the Clones. I haven't seen what's the one? It's like Return of the Sith or something. Revenge of the Sith.
I think. Yeah.
I've not seen that, and I haven't seen any of the new ones. So.
No. Somewhere Ryan Morgan is shouting at his podcast, but yeah, don't.
Not really. Big Star Wars
I
fan.
think he's a big Star Wars fan. Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah,
I
big
always,
gay mate.
Yeah, I always see him with the Mandem and the 3D glasses, just getting ready for some Rogue One. Dialect says fans might think you're handsome, bro. He says you have a tampon nose, which is
It's an accurate description, I guess.
you look like Axl Rose on grams of coke.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
sort of.
Hey, I'd take it.
Yeah.
I get a lot of comparisons to just like random white people.
Yeah.
I like Dirk Nowitzki, I get Daniel Bryan, and we just add.
What is that Dirk Nowitzki thing? Because that's became like a meme in forums that you look like him. Who is this person?
He was a power forward who spent the majority of his career at the Dallas Mavericks.
Right. Okay.
And he was a really big. I think he was like 6'11", but he had like a crazy like 3-point shot, which is just like weird. Most of the time, like tall guys are more like in the low post or in the paint or setting screens or that thing. But he was like had this nutty jump shot, so he was just like really difficult to guard. He's like NBA.
Yeah.
You could call him like an NBA legend. It's sort of on the cusp of that. He was an incredible player, difficult to play against.
I don't really see it. I've got the screen Google Images filled up now. I don't really see the comparison, Sol.
I think it's just white people with big noses.
Sure. I've not really heard of this guy. Looks like quite the anomaly. Wonderful first round for news, as we say. I love the awareness that you sort of start with returning to the Saints, spirit deserting my remains, and then I mean, did you feel you had to sort of do that?
Yeah, I thought it was like quite funny. It was actually like the like behind the scenes scoops. That was actually supposed to, because I wasn't going to have like another battle scheduled until Tony. So when Tony first got announced, I like wrote that down and like that's a sick way to start like my first round against Tony. And then the Dialect battle got announced, and I was still going to say against Tony as like the start of my first round, and I was like, fuck, it only works on like my first battle back. So I had to use like against Dialect instead. But that bar was initially written for the Tony battle.
So fucking good. Just the way you deliver it. I learn from my mistakes as well, and it just sets us up brilliantly. Anyone can get it like a crisis loan.
Yeah, that's all right.
And the fact that you say coming here anyway, you ain't in my way, you're on my way.
Yeah, I like that.
You have this way, and we'll get into it with the first round against Tony as well, where they're not even bars, they're just facts.
Yeah, you just sort of like that's like I think the best way to battle rap, right? Like you just want to take what everyone's thinking and word it in the most effective way possible. Like I don't think you necessarily have to use this like wordplay this sort of rely on wordplay as like a crutch or whatever. I think like the best way to do it is just take what people are thinking and word it in an extremely effective, incisive way with like a high impact point at the end. And it's difficult. I don't get me wrong, it's like the hardest style to write in, otherwise everyone would just do it because it has the best results. But yeah, I mean, that's always what I aim for, just like the most natural sounding things.
And Dialect comes with the sort of the angle we've heard before. It's done in a quite funny way in the second. Jed Mitchell rhymes with Netflix bill.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is good. You got the triple platinum package. Apparently, you're not the sort of person to eat a mixed grill. You eat King's Mill with a shit film.
A shit film, yeah, that's funny. I like that.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Stay on a mixed grill, stay on King's Mill and watch a shit film.
What
the thought of like just eating like King's Mill out the
King's
packet,
Mill.
butter or anything.
No. And he says, "I bet every night you punish," and like everyone instantly knows where the scheme's going, and it's a really fun moment. And he goes in on your viewpoint 16 that you got loads of hate for, and I don't think it was that bad. I actually put it into my top 10 viewpoint 16. Check that out on Battle Rap's main channel, underviewed video, and that was a good time in Battle Rap, wasn't it? When everyone was posting those, it really showed off the talent of the league.
Yeah, it was good fun, man. The whole sort of time was good fun. I mean, it was good fun for pretty much like the majority of the time for me, anyway. I guess like being on the periphery of it and not really like. It's helpful that I'm from Scotland, right? Because like I wasn't like involved as much as the others in like the social aspect, so I could just like show up in battle like once every 3 months and see my mates and hang out, and there wasn't really any drama. Yeah. So it was always good fun for me.
And you start your second with one of the biggest insults in battle rap. You just go, eh.
It's so rude.
Yeah.
I did that.
It works, I think.
That's fucked up.
I remember in the room, I was just like, wow, okay, I'm not really, that's sort of a dismissiveness. And
It's so, honestly, I apologize, man. That's fucked up.
No, I mean, it's part of it. And, you say about Dialect's crew, they all speak Zulu. And I remember, because I was in the room, and, when you drop that bar...
Yeah, people just think, like, I would be the last person, right? To do that. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought.
It's like everyone took a gasp of breath. It was like, why are you
fuck.
saying that? Like, and
there was, like, a bit you hear in the video when I say it, and Daddy Jack just goes mad. I was like, it is mad. Can't say that. But I tried to set up I thought I'd set up the rug pool, But...
Yeah, and then you immediately say, ain't a racist bar for him, just to sort of put that...
Get that in quick.
Yeah. You say it straight after.
Yeah, right
just
away.
Just as mad leaves Danny Jack's lips, you say it straight away.
It just as, like, the knives start coming out, and everyone, like, 5 minutes, like, whoa.
I was quite astonished when you initially said it, and then...
That's what I was relying on, like, people being too stunned to stab me right away. And hopefully get out the next bar.
It's that Dialect click never made out the region that it started in, which is you sort of you do some wordplay, you do some sort of slightly forced wordplay that you acknowledge the airing out the messenger, markers unread, and you say like that's what the kids are doing now, right?
Repeat the bar they just said. Yeah.
Using their hands as well, like
I
mean. Do you watch much battle rap? Do you watch much modern battle rap just as a fan, or?
No.
The
only scene, it's weird, right? Because it's almost done like a whole 180. When I first came in, literally all I would watch would be like American battle rap, and now it's like I only watch like the UK stuff, and even then, like not like all of it. Probably maybe like the good stuff. You know what I mean? Like the middle tier and up, like UK, I'll watch, and if there's like a battle for someone that I'm more like have like people that I specifically check for rather than just watching like a random battle or whatever. I don't really do that much anymore. I watched Pat Stay vs No Shame. Oh my, fucking hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah. But that one I was actually checking for because I was like, yes. Not because like I've endorsed the message.
Sure,
whatever, but it's just like fucking hilarious. You know that it's going to be like so brutal.
Yeah.
It's like watching fucking a car crash.
Yeah, it was. The Hulk Hogan line was that was a really funny battle. I definitely recommend people check that out.
Bit that caught me was when he was like, it's so fucked up, but where he's like, I'm throwing a party after this. You're so welcome for sure, bro. I'd invite you, but it's more so for people who are, normal. Jesus. Yeah. But it's like one of those you just like, it's like you're not cringing. It's not like cringy, like you're embarrassed for Pat, but it's just like so brutal. Like you're hard to watch. But
and you have some brutal stuff at the end of your second. You really put a stamp on the common angles against Dialect, and you do it in quite a definitive way. You talk about when he battled Gemini and Yunnan, and how he raps slower, and we caught everything you wrote, and you got buried by them both because it's better when we don't. And how my best performances are even better when they're heard again, you say, and your best performances are when we've barely understood a word you've said.
Yeah, it's quite a big fan of that. Again, it's just going back to that same thing where you're not like sort of using like, it's like when I put the potato on the barrel with the fried chips, the chicken, and it's just like, it's not really like relying on wordplay as a focal point. It's like the sole reason of the bar is like to make a point in the most like concise, vitriolic sounding way you can. And that's more sort of what I'm aiming for these days, because I can do like writing like wordplay punchlines is just kind of like boring to me now, because it's just like it's too, not to sound like a dickhead or whatever, but it is like it's too easy like to write that, and I know like how to write that and get a reaction like almost down to like a formula. So it's just like dull to write it. I'd rather like try and be different, Yeah.
But we still get some of the old soul in the second round. The shit you write is like Sun Tzu on psilocybin mushrooms or Percocets.
What the fuck was that?
I couldn't get that. I've got a bit of a lisp, soul. Like psilocybin. How do you say that? Psilocybin.
Shit, I write a Sun Tzu on psilocybin mushrooms.
Psilocybin. Oh my god. Okay.
Sure.
It's like, I don't battle. Well, not anymore. Oh man. You've not okay. You don't watch Modern Batter Up, so you've not seen Soliloquy versus Bison Briggs, I assume.
I actually have seen that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I made a point to check out. Actually, I'll be honest. Yeah, I like you, Tom. So I couldn't watch like all of the rounds when it got like a bit stumbly on your part.
That's fair.
I was like, I don't want to see this.
No,
like, because I don't revel in your discomfort. You know what I mean?
No, thank you.
So
thank you.
Couldn't watch that, but I did watch Briggs's rounds, and they were pretty fucking funny. Dude.
They were.
I'm not gonna lie.
But no, he was great. He was great.
I didn't see your, like I say, I didn't see them in their entirety when it started to get some stumbly. I just didn't want to see that from you.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming he fucked you up.
Yeah, horribly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, time's the best of us.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, of
I've
course.
been fucked up before.
Yeah. Didn't Briggsy technically beat you, even though you beat
Yeah,
him?
yeah, Briggsy beat me.
Yeah.
So, hey, well, welcome to the club, man. We're basically the same.
Yeah. Except you could say psilocybin and I can't. I didn't even say it good then.
And still can.
Still can't. And unfortunately, Dialect, sort of stumbles a little bit in his third, but it was short prep, as he acknowledges.
Yeah, no, it was really short prep. It was like literally like 4 or 5 days or something.
Yeah. And,
so yeah, really short.
I loved Call 'em Sports. Although you say Call 'em Sports Interactive in your third, then you start laughing. Why were you laughing?
Because I was laughing at it because he was the camera pans away from him, but he was cracking up at the previous one.
Yeah.
I said something like blah blah blah. Oh, they want to take the Undertaker's place. Somebody take the reins from Mr. Pirate Radio Set and busk my way to fame. And he started cracking up, and it made me laugh because he was laughing. Because that's how laughter works, I guess.
Yeah, and Call 'em Sports Interactive says he's going to change the game every year on FM, and it fucking stays the same.
Triggered.
Yeah. Great.
Every year I buy FM, it's the fucking same game. It's a reskin.
Yeah. Well, so, and Sports Interactive, I assume, are the publisher, right?
They make.
Assume that, yeah.
And FM, obviously, FM radio.
Yeah.
FM.
You talk about his partner as well, in love with Tori. She's a Sun and Stars, bossed by Tori like the Sun and the Stars, which is, probably the most wordplay stuff we get out of you in this battle. You are being quite abrupt.
Yeah, that bit was alright. I like the setup better. The fucking breaking
in the heels. Yeah.
Your bars. That's quite a good image.
Yeah. And, like that, it's over. It's 11 minutes, and it's sort of getting you in that mind frame for these shorter Premier Battles rounds. Is that something you prefer?
Love that. Love an 11-minute battle. I mean, much more likely to watch an 11-minute battle. Well, no, I'll be equally as likely because I won't watch it. But imagine for a second that I actually still actively watching battles between people who I don't know. Yeah. If that's an 11-minute battle, I'm much more likely to watch that than if you do like a 4-minute round and I don't know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just more entertaining. Do you know what I mean? Who has like an hour to sit and watch a battle?
It's insane, isn't it? Like, it's, some of the PGs from URL are like 50 minutes. They're going for 10 minutes apiece in the rounds.
I understand why they do it, but it's almost like a fucking arms race, right? Because they know... I don't know how to explain it. It's like they know that it's more likely that people will watch it if they make like shorter rounds, but they know that their opponent's going to do a longer round, so they have to do a longer round or they're going to get buried. And it's just like, if they could both just fucking agree to do like 90-second rounds, their video would like be so much more popular and they would be so much more popular. But yeah,
this is why Premier Battles is a great thing, because it's sort of instilling this bit of an antidote. There's this malaise for a lot of modern battling because of the length times. Totally agree. So let's get to Premier Battles. Like, how did you first get involved? How did you become aware of the project?
So I wasn't doing anything at that time. This was like, I was made aware of the project before I was even scheduled to battle Tony.
Right.
Like, Shotty inboxed me one day, and he was like, "Hey, we're starting a league, a team-based league." And this was like, literally, I hadn't done anything since Shox, so I was just like ready to battle again, I guess. Like, and then he was like, "We're doing this team-based league, and I want you on my team, so don't sign for anyone else, please."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, man, sounds good." And then I got announced like 3 months later or something. I got proper like tapped up. Like, it was one of those like fucking like 8-year-old school kids that like play for Liverpool or whatever.
You're part of Shark City. It's managed by Shotty as well. Obviously, Chris Lees, Raptor, and Yunnan are in the team. And I think like a lot of people, when it first got announced, we were curious, we weren't really sure what it was to a certain extent, but obviously the first event was a giant success. A lot of people were saying that it's one of the best events they've ever been to. Obviously, you've been to a hell of a lot of events. How would you rank it, the Manchester event as a whole?
It was just like a different thing. Like I couldn't like even like compare it to like another battle event. Even like when I was battling, like I watched the video back like today, me versus Mara, and it's like you can hear like when I'm doing my rounds, like the fucking his team are like heckling me.
Yeah.
In the middle of my rounds.
Yeah.
And I've never had that before, but I mean I like it. It's like proper like tribal competitive, and it brings that like side of you out. Where it's like, oh yeah, heckle me, bitch. All right, watch this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't happen anymore. It's all so polite. But that's one thing I think that like Premier Battles has going for it. That it's just like creates like this actual proper competition, and that is, I guess, one of the things that I do miss about battle rap from back in the day. So I love it, man. I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, literally the only thing I have to say that I don't like about Premier Battles would be the scoring system. I even like the payment structure because like everyone gets paid exactly the same.
Right.
Which like I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably doesn't work out like better for me, like finance, but like money's don't really like the deciding factor, like whether it's like it's like, do you know what I mean? It's not like the amount of money difference from what I would normally get paid isn't going to like make or break my life. Do you know what I mean? So I would much rather just have it that and just have it equal and everyone's happy, and then we're all just doing it for like the equal competition. So I think like the payment structure where everyone gets paid the same is very fair, and I'm a fan of that. Fan of like the time limits, fan of the sort of tribal competitive side of it, fan of the league, fan of the sort of punditry and the production value and all of this, huge fan of Premier Battles. But like I say, the one thing I don't like is the scorecard.
It is incredible what they pulled off here. Out of interest, are you subscribed to any other networks like UFC, WE, or anything like that?
I was subscribed to the Fight Pass network, but then I kind of exhausted their back library. Right. And because we're in Europe, like the live events that you get aren't great. You only get like the European live events. You don't get like the fight nights in America until like they actually go on the video on demand. So I unsubscribed to that. Obviously, like I'm subscribed to like Netflix or whatever. But like other than that, nah, I don't think so.
No.
But no, I'm actually like I'm subscribed to Premier Battles. Like I don't have a freebie or that. Like I'm just subscribed to it because I'm just big fan of what they're doing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good to give back. This battle is available on the network, I should say, for people listening. Most people might be, may not be aware of where it is available. So if you subscribe to Premier Battles on the network, you get access to this, you get access to all the other battles from Match Day 1, and loads of other really cool content as well. They've got loads of debate shows, and the Hulk has done a show, Sarcasm City, I love what they're doing. And it is still so early. I know for a fact that Shotty and Briggsy have got a 5-year plan of sorts, production-wise going into it. So,
did I get paid for this Premier Battles advert? Or?
Yeah, we do. We both do. Yeah.
So
it's all good. Yeah.
A couple of people said this battle would be close, and that can't slide. 6 years since we battled. What's he done in the last 5? Absolutely nothing. That's why what he's done since is get carried by his damn side, lost a battle to me. That was his peak, and I've been jumped twice the best in the fans' eyes, squad depth, franchise. A couple of people had their money on him in this clash, right? Well, place your bets now. We play a banzai. I'll snap like a Shox.
How did the matchup come about? So, were you asked by Shotty who you wanted? Were you given matter, or...?
Yeah, I mean, I don't give a fuck who a battle. So, other people on the team, I think, had, like, battles that they would prefer, but ultimately it's picked by the manager, and like Shotty knows, like for me, like I could give a fuck less who a battle, so I'll take whoever's left.
And we spoke about the Matter battle before. Quite a lot of people messaged me actually when the card came out because they know through the show that you versus Matter is my favourite battle of all time. So I was sort of very excited to see this go down as well. Prep wise, this came in a busy period for you. I think this is about a week, 2 weeks before Tony D, and as you said at the start of the interview, you said to Tox, you have this work ethic that you've got, from your father, inspired by your girlfriend, etc. Like, how was it prepping? Do you find it quite easy to compartmentalize, to write for this guy, write for that guy?
I'm like literally, a little background in my life. I work like long shifts, like 4 days, and then have like 3 days off.
Right.
On Sundays, that's the one day I have off with my girlfriend, and then Tuesdays, play football and go through it with my dad. So I pretty much have like Monday as a day to write. I started writing like late December in January for like these 2 battles.
Right.
And how I would write is like I would have 2 Word documents up, and it was literally like I would write, because I write weird, right? I write like ideas and angles, and then like notes about like what you could spin off, and then like in parentheses I'll write like wordplay that's based around that angle that can be developed later. And I'm literally just like clicking between 2 different notepads and like writing for 2 battles at the same time. It's like some proper fucking autistic shit, but yeah, that's how I did it. But I just started like really early because I knew that like the Tony battle would be longer rounds, because I can write in like a short period of time. Like I can do a 4-day, 5-day prep battle like easy. But when one of them's a 90 second rounds, and the other one's like 3 minutes, like asterisk 3 minutes, so it'll probably be 3 minutes plus, you're looking at like bare minimum 10.5 minutes of material that you have to memorize within like a 7-day period. So obviously I was acutely aware of the fact that I needed to be finished writing for Tony by the time I started memorizing for Matter, which I wasn't quite. There was like some very slight tweaks that I had to make for Tony, but yeah, it was just a case of like just starting early and writing like a fucking autistic piece of shit.
Well, you killed it, you autistic piece of shit. Don't worry about it. You get your own chant at the start, which Shotty kicks off. I mean, awesome, right?
Yeah, it's that. The first time that happened was after the Old English battle. They done the "You got so
right.
Always believing." So yeah, it was nice to see it again. The Redux.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Shotty said he came up with it like independently or whatever though. So he just maybe wasn't aware it had happened before.
Right.
And like which is like he still gets credit for it, right? Like if he came up with it independently, then shout out to him. But yeah, it's a good chant. I like it.
Yeah.
Hopefully see more of that going forward. More battlers getting chants and stuff.
It's such a smart idea, isn't it, to meld these fandoms of football and battling, because they're so similar in so many ways.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. For sure they are.
And, you know, you both play into that in the battle, and a lot of the battles, there's loads of football bars, which there already were loads of football bars in battling anyway. But, you know, lots from Matter here, Bayerns for your team, without bars, Alona, and, you know, I like the fact that he says at the start, "So we meet again," the first battle.
Because I lost.
Because I lost, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
When I sleep, dream of the peace, Joni Mitchell. Now, I searched that because I quite like Joni Mitchell, and I don't know her discography exhaustively, but I was like, is that a lyric, dream of the peace? But I don't think it is. I think he's just implying, you know, that sort of 60s ideology to a certain extent, and it's quite a good bar as well. Dead After the Clash, Joe Strummer.
Brilliant.
But, you know, yet again, Sol, we have the way that you pull the truth out into the open, and, you know, it works. The crowd's rowdy, the crowd's excited. 6 years since we last battled. What's he done in the last 5, you ask?
Yeah. So I think it's a good way to start the battle.
So good. I mean...
Create, like, that kind of separation or whatever.
And, you know, similar to the peak line against Shox and, you know, something you think of early, did you think of, 6 years later, just that guy on Luna's team?
Yeah, that was, like, one of the first bars I came up with.
I mean, brilliant. I watched this battle the other day, obviously, just recently. Well, it came out yesterday, actually, and I hadn't seen it before. And, yeah, that was just inspired. Like, that's vintage you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. And mentioned Despicable Me in the first as
well.
Which...
Another one. It was a bit different to the style I've been writing recently, because obviously in 90 seconds you don't really have as much time to develop like these ideas and stuff and like hammer on them, like we did in the Tony battle or whatever. But I just got to like come up with more like sort of punchline stuff while hopefully still sticking like on point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the head wig stuff. New wig for your head.
That was another like quite early one.
Yeah. I mean, the owl bars, it's crazy. And I like how Matter, at the start of his second, says, "Calm down, bro, it's only battle rap." And you're like, I really like it, though.
Just get into it, you know?
Yeah.
Carried away.
You know what pen game is? It's a girl that's described as bubbly.
Amazing. Yeah.
Like ragging on pen game never gets old. Even though I love pen game, it's always funny.
Yeah, it's always funny, man. It's a really good approach to take. It takes a sting out of pretty much everything you do, unless you're doing it like really, really well.
And you got to. I think your rounds are a bit more constructed. Matters are a bit more freeform. They still hit, but I like the sort of thing in your second where you posit the P soldier matter relationship as P soldier just being a really pally dealer.
Yeah, so I was like, because I was pretty like certain that Matter in either his first or second was going to attempt to like clown me for being like this nerdy writer guy.
Sure.
So I was like, all right, at the start of my second, let me do like jokes or whatever and play like off the back of like his wave where people are like still ready to laugh, and then like transition it into like being all right, now check this out. Then they might like be more ready to hear some of that like pen game that's just been like decried in the previous round.
Yeah.
Because then if it gets like decried and you go right in with like fucking psilocybin mushroom, like they'll just be like, what the fuck, you're just doing exactly what he just said. But it's like, obviously I can't not do that because that's like my whole fucking shtick.
Yeah.
But you need to like do it smart, right? So like have like get them on board with it. So if you can use the jokes and then transition into that stuff like as seamlessly as you can, then yeah, hopefully you've got more chance of like your later stuff hitting.
And you had the messy line in the first. Now we get the sliding the DMs, like the Makaleli
roll. Yeah, slide in DMs.
Fantastic, so good. Deadline day every time that he's battling.
Yeah, that was all right.
Yeah, love that shit, man. Matt, again, you know, he fights. I think it's a really good battle. You know, it's probably the best Premier battle I've seen on both sides so far from the event that's been released there. And, you know, he seems to, again, play into your hands slightly, where he talks about the online relationship stuff, and you just sort of counter that pretty well in the third, don't you?
Yeah, again, was pretty sure he was going to mention that, at least in some capacity, so thought it would be a pretty good counter in the third.
And as a giant fanboy for Sol v Matter 2011, I love how you bring back the fact that you mentioned his girl, Anna, I think.
Yeah. How's it going now?
Yeah. And Matter says you were right.
Yeah. It's like, thanks, man.
Well,
it helped me out there.
That's what you get for fucking with snakes. You know, you said this 6 years ago. So, and yeah, you live with a girl now, and so it just works. I think every round you win by a small margin, and you know, you sort of say, who's the real sad sack? Go suck your mother dry is your closing.
Yeah,
which is
next one, I like a fifth bar closer as opposed to a fourth bar one. So I like those like sort of staccato ways, like where you finish your rounds with like anti-climax as opposed to climax, and then have little like 5 bar things instead of 4 bars. It just fucks with like the status quo of like have things in 2, 4, 8, 16, like that, those sort of multiples. Like if you can throw in like shit that's offbeat when people aren't expecting it, sometimes can have like a pretty good effect.
And it's not quite clear on the video, but how was the winner announced? Did all the judges go back and then it was in front of the crowd, or?
It was announced as they didn't announce the battles individually.
Oh, I see. Yeah, they did it all at the end.
They announced the teams that won and what the score was, but they didn't announce who won and lost.
Right, okay.
But I mean, like our ones against Mandrill Mob were quite clear.
Yeah.
Like who won and lost. The only one that was like if someone said 2-1 Mandrill Mob, it would be obvious that it was like Matter beat me and O'Shea beat Raptor. And if it was 2-1 the other way, then it would be Chris beat P Soldier and I beat Matter. Our ones was like the swing.
At the time of us recording this, the next Premier Battles event is coming up. I think it's April 14th. Concrete London's definitely get your tickets for that. How regularly do you have to battle for the league? Are you going to be battling on the third?
So you're only contracted to do like one, right? Right. But I'm going to be not battling for any league until August at least.
Okay.
So I think I'll probably end up doing 3, depending on how they're like timed out. I believe that's how it's planned. I would have. When is this one? This one's April, right?
Yeah.
So I would have been free to do this one, but the way they picked the matchups was like I wasn't battling on this one.
Right.
And they picked, because we've had like all our matches like for the season or whatever, they sent us to after Volume 1, and I was like, I can't do the one right after this one, so I couldn't do Volume 3. So I was like, I might be able to do Volume 2, but we found out like too late, and I already like have my leave booked from work.
Right.
So yeah. So I'll probably do 3, right? I'll do 4 and 5.
And who do you see winning? Do you see Shark City winning? A lot of people do.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I think talent-wise, probably a bit above most of the other teams there, and a bit more together.
I think it was between us and Mandro Mob. I was pretty convinced that whoever won this one was going to win the season, pretty much. A case of like if we all show up to like our ceiling. I think we have like the highest ceiling of talent, like in the group, in the league. Sorry, like if you look at our individual ceilings, but obviously, like we've seen in Battle Rap before, a lot of people can not reach their ceiling at times. So it would just be like a case. I think we're favourites for sure, but it's not necessarily we're like nailed on to win the league or whatever.
And what is the sort of the team atmosphere there? Is there? Do you guys speak often or?
Yeah, we've got a group chat that people will post bars in, and we'll talk shit occasionally and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's all good. We all like each other in real life, I believe anyway. I don't dislike any of them, but and we all get on pretty well.
One of the rare teams where you've battled all your other team members.
Have I? Yeah, Chris, Louise, Yunan, and Rat. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So, yeah, I think everyone's battled everyone, right? Chris hasn't battled Raptor.
Chris hasn't battled Raptor, no, but obviously Raptor and Yunan were very close. So yeah, maybe.
Raptors and Yunan's battled Chris as well.
Yeah.
So everyone's battled everyone except Chris and Raptor.
Maybe there might be some other bleed over in some other teams. I'll have to vet that a bit further. But let's get to the final battle.
But it's your fault, because you don't incentivize the dude to ever try improving. Because every time he fucks up, or every time he loses, as if he really cared, he would have had a great performance. It was the opponent's big shot, and he didn't want to take it from him. Shit league, small crowd, left it late preparing for. You're running out of excuses, and I'm running out of patience for him.
This battle just got uploaded, and it was uploaded on the King of the Dot channel. What were your thoughts on the merger of Chalked Out and King of the Dot?
Yeah, just a good look, man, I think. Can't really see much downside to it. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of like what the actual deal is and all that kind of stuff, so I don't really have like an in-depth opinion on like whether I think it's a good or bad deal for either side, but like on the face of it, it certainly just seems like I don't really see any downside to it.
And did you see that this battle was covered on J Black's Champion the other day?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I actually watched it like while I was at work.
Pretty good honour.
Yeah, it's cool. I think it was like abundantly clear that Tech9 didn't actually watch the battle.
He quoted a few bars here and there. He quoted the magazine bar by Tony.
I think they were written down for him.
Yeah. I like that J Black covers UK Battle Rap though. He's done it a few times now.
Yeah, it was cool to be on there. Be like the second ones that we've done in that. It was just like funny watching it. It was like Tech9 just blagging it. Like, I loved that. I was cracking up. But yeah, no, it was nice. Everything they said was really nice, and
yeah,
I appreciate it, obviously.
Yeah. It was great to see that happen. And obviously, we did the face-off on this channel before you battled Tony, building up to that, so definitely check that out. And, this battle, a long time coming. Everyone wanted to see this battle. It was announced for quite a while as well. The card was announced, when you battled Dialect initially, as we covered, so there's a lot of build-up as well. I love how you start. You say that this is your last fucking chance, you cunt. That's your opening.
Yeah.
Laying it all out on the line.
Opening gambit.
Yeah, and you talk of him doing one stumble, one stutter, don't even skip shit. It does just hang over Tony, and he does slip up quite quickly into his first, and it feels like you've kind of won there. I don't know if you felt that as well.
Yeah, so it's kind of like cheating in a sense, right? Because I just wanted to like raise a lot of time, like obviously like Tony's like super talented or whatever, but he can get away with like stumbles a bit more than maybe other people could. So I wanted to actually like just set that floor for him, where it's like you can't ever dip below here or you're fucked. And not to like fuck with his head or like to get him to choke. That's not what I wanted, but to like set that floor so that if there was like any stumbles or whatever, then it would make it harder for him to like pick up momentum from there.
Yeah, and no one's ever really taken the angle to the extent that you take it in the first. You go to the crowd and sort of tell them it's their fault, which I really like as well. You're running out of excuses. I'm running out of patience for them. Tony wouldn't try because he couldn't handle the truth. Now, Tony's scared to try because he wouldn't have an excuse.
Yeah, I think like a lot of the time that people fuck up, like when they battle Tony, is like they punch up at him. set themselves almost as like this underdog and try and play off the underdog effect, which can work, but a lot of the time he's just like so poised that it plays into his strategy of just like trying to sun you. So I was just like try to like punch down at him almost as opposed to punching up and take it from there. And yeah, just shit like that was just to sort of like serve that purpose.
I like the way you employ that mocking, childish cadence. Like, he's forgotten how to. It's really, really strong. He doesn't choke more than I do. He chokes more than I don't. Which, I mean, I think even Tech 9 liked that bar. I didn't even see the battle, so...
he didn't even see the battle.
Yeah, exactly. He just loved it.
He just loved it.
It was just underlined on his Word document.
It's good on paper.
Yeah. You mentioned the hypocrisy again of the fans, you know, how he did the weather scheme against Archaic, and that was lauded, and then the schemes from Chiller against him were being whack.
Awful, yeah. It's such bullshit.
Yeah. I love that. When you point that
it's not Tony's fault, like, at all, right? Like, it's not like an indictment on him, but... Fucking hell, Battle fans sometimes in their like double standards and hypocrisies and stuff are just hilarious.
I mean, your tone, the disgust and anger in your voice is palpable. Talking about how the fans set your standards, and I bet that it helps that they set them way lower for you than for anyone else. I mean, that is, and I'm saying this as a Tony fan, don't get me wrong, it's kind of true, right?
It's 100% true, and that's not an indictment on Tony. Like, it's on the fans, yeah, and that. Honestly, I thought that this like battle was going to be won and lost on whether or not like I could convince the fans to like treat Tony as if he was just any other MC buttfuck, right? Because if I like talk to Tony as if he is like this, like can do no wrong, godly, and I'm punching up at him like with this underdog effect, then he's just going to sun me, right? But if I can like get the fans to treat Tony like he's any other battler, especially because of the fact I'm in London, then like that levels the playing field a bit. But yeah, everything that I said about the fans is 100% true, and I like stand behind it. A lot of times in battle rap, you like exaggerate things and shit like that. Nah, that is 100%. I believe in that.
Yeah, and you know, Tony is all personality. He's all charisma. He begins. He doesn't really need to try when you're as cool as he is. Which is, I suppose he's, I don't agree with him, but it's a very Tony thing to say in comparison. And
it's a good flip, yeah.
Yeah, it's a decent, and he has a better flip actually, where he's sort of talking about you going in on him getting his salad tossed. When you're pistol whipped by the butt, it won't be a rim job, which he sort of dismisses. I mean, it's a bit crude.
I think he fucked up the multi, right?
Yeah.
He said he multied like rim job with pissing me off.
Yeah.
But I think what he probably meant to say was don't get me pissed off. Pissed off in rim job match. So I think that's what he means by fucked up completely.
Yeah. And it's nice that he gives props to Don't Flop in the intro, and he says it's a shame he had to go down. Yeah, I really like that
a lot, man. Liked how he was sort of styling it, and liked how he was like going about it. I thought it was shaping up to be like a really good round.
Definitely. The heart ain't been in the game. Now I'm going to take the soul out. It's quite nice as well, because he's admitting, he's not denying what you're saying. He's taking it on board. The speaker will move you like Marty McFly in the opening scene.
Yeah,
it's quite nice
really
as well.
Good.
Yeah, really nice. I recently found out, by the way, that Back to the Future, they filmed half of the movie with someone else. Eric Stoltz, I think his name was. And they decided he wasn't the right guy, so then they got Michael J. Fox. And they had to reshoot all the scenes.
It's a big budget.
Yeah, huge. Robert Zemeckis. Battle rap is a medium to talk to soul. This shit is a seance. It's kind of... Some of his angles just weren't necessarily as sharp or as vital as yours were. Talking about how, when he was having these big battles against Ocean Shotty, you were apparently wanking to anime?
Facts. Big facts. Obviously, that's like to be confirmed, but I mean, yeah, it was funny, right? Because that's how you beat me. That's how you beat me. You just like make me out to be this like dweeby loner kid, which I am in battle rap canon. Yeah. So like, if you can like exploit that good enough, then you pretty much win, right? Yeah. So it's the right way to go about it. I think like.
Yeah, and we get a sort of a real audible, slip up here, where he's talking about maybe my name was a puncher like Costa Zoo, and he just sort of repeats it a little bit, and like I remember seeing this at the time, and everyone's like, it wasn't going to be quite what we wanted. Was this disappointing for you, or is victory the main thing?
So obviously, like, you're in two minds about it, right? Because the competitive side of me, when he's fucking up, I'm like, yes, but like. Obviously, I would much rather beat like a 100% Tony, right? Yeah. Than Well, I'd actually much rather lose to 100% Tony than beat like a Tony that's fucking up.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, like in hindsight, but like if you're asking me like how I felt at the time, I can't lie to you.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, of course.
Like it is a weight off when he starts fucking up, but that's just at the moment. Like obviously in hindsight, I'd much rather that he didn't. But it happens to the best of us, I guess.
Yeah, of course. And the worst of us in my case. It already happened that you were winning to a certain extent by this point. You go in your second him banging groupies, some 3 out of 10 treating your colon like a Capri Sun. What an image!
You know what? Yeah, I sent that to loads of people, and everyone told me that I shouldn't do it, and I didn't think I should do it either.
Yeah,
but I just didn't have anything else. So
yeah. And I mean,
what are you going to do, Tom?
Yeah,
you know what I mean, you're trying to write 2 battles a week apart. Some of the B material is going to find its way in there. I don't know what to tell you, man.
You go in deep, pause, on the arse eating stuff. You call it definitely queer. Of course, he likes to get it tossed, surrounded by arse licks, which is
wait, you missed out the Dan Henderson's ear bit.
Well, I didn't get that bar.
Have you not seen Dan Henderson's ear?
Who is Dan Henderson and what's his ear?
He's an MMA fighter. He's got like really fucking bad cauliflower ear.
Okay, yeah. I'll get that as a Google thing up against Dirk Nikowski. See, I'm just mispronouncing everything this episode. Let's not start dwelling it.
It's just as well you're not a podcaster.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only the focal point of my entire being.
Exactly. Yeah.
Munchausen's by proxy, and the Maltese here. I don't want to quote it, but defining it, you seem adept at that. You seem to almost speak in these things by now, Sol.
Yeah, it seemed like I watched like the Watch Together they did in my battles, and Lush once like said that I see rhymes in colours. Honestly, in battle rap canon, I am probably like the most autistic person like you could ever design. It's not me in real life. I write like everyone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like practice and got like decent at it. But yeah, I don't see rhymes in colours.
I've
like smell rounds. I appreciate the sentiment that he was trying to convey, but it's just like the image that I got of myself was just sitting in this dark room with like psychedelic images in my head. Just like, unfortunately not. It would be much easier.
I can just confirm I've just seen Dan Henderson's ear, by the way. Wow. That is afflicted. I've never seen anything like that. It's like compounded into his head.
Yeah.
It's very fleshy. So yeah, you talk about, we get Stephen Hawking bar as well, which was prophetic. Mm-hmm. Not really prophetic, coincidence, but really,
I didn't say he was going to die.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. The inner workings of nothing and the fear of everything is, terrific punch, and the whole Rushmore stuff. And you talk about how effective you are in battles as well, and how ineffective in comparison he is. So clear that smoke and use those mirrors to be introspective with. My only other concern is that you can see your reflection behind that giant fucking ego and that shield of pretentiousness. Which again, there's no wordplay there. There's just it's like a Cicero speech or something.
It's just making a point. I was acutely aware of the fact that a lot of that stuff could have been said to me, which is why I threw like that bit in the middle, like, of all people, it's me that would tell him this. Well, study the last 3 years of my penmanship, almost to like prevent that, because a lot of the time, like when you're attacking against like top tier opponents, you have to be aware of like what you're leaving yourself vulnerable, like for flips and stuff, and vulnerable to like counter angles that they could have come up with shit they think you're going to say to them. So you want to like almost prevent that like before it starts, or have that like up so where he said, I know what you're thinking, right? Of all people, it's me. I can tell them this right away, right? You can't flip that because I've already like dismissed it. Like I've already dealt with it. The fact that like you're going to create this equivalency between us that I do the exact same shit, but I'm addressing that right now. So you can't flip that now. I've already dealt with it. It's that pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, it's still Tony, and he still has some incredible writing. I love followed in my footsteps, not knowing you were tracking an animal.
Yeah, second round was hard, man.
Yeah, really good second round. Stop fucking rapping on beat. He says as well. I don't say that as your opponent. I say that as a friend.
As your friend. Yeah, amazing.
Was this they edit this out, and I understand why they did that, for the sake of clarity. But, as I say, it was in the building. He did bring his rhymes out. Was that in the third or the second? I can't quite remember.
Second.
Was it in the second? Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. But we don't really see that. And, he has move a crowd like the Vegas shooter, track can like sitcom laughter. I've definitely done what you've said I will, he says to you as well. as he's stumbling, and he goes in on your rhythmic structures, but there's not enough there really. And you sort of say in your third how you proved what he did. Your third yet again is fantastic. You mentioned the Yunnan battle where he talks about views from the Labour office and how he's talking about the highest shelf they could find, and that's the views that he was getting off the whole send for rehearse when you don't rehearse for your sends. I mean, you must be so proud of this battle, man. What a showcase.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I am quite happy with how it came off.
Yeah.
Don't really have too much that I can nitpick about it, and I'm normally like extremely critical after I watch my battles, and I'm like, that could have been done better. I could have done that. That's a bit dead. That was a bit stupid. But all in all, even the butt stuff, I kind of stand behind that a bit. It's a nice like break in the seriousness or whatever. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot that I'm like not happy with in that battle, to be honest.
Yeah,
quite happy with it.
I didn't actually make a note on this bar, so I'm going to misquote it, but I didn't quite get it. So you said old school wrestling falls count for nothing or everything.
Falls count anywhere.
Yeah.
So it used to be like a type of match in wrestling, because normally in places like not real wrestling, right, but like professional wrestling like WWE, you can like pin someone only like in the ring, but they used to have these matches that were called falls count anywhere, which is where you could like pin people anywhere in the arena or anywhere else. Like the referee would follow them around and start the count like wherever they were, and that's called like the match was called like falls count anywhere. That was the name of it.
Solid Snake, Clock the Grey Fox changes, which is love that. I mean, other than Ape Escape, I am aware of Metal Gear Solid as well. So
Ape Escape.
Ape Escape. I thought that was fire. You sort of talk about him maybe doing goodbye speech and just say, take the shattered remains of your legacy with you. Whew.
Bit rude.
Slightly, but necessary perhaps, and apt, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, works as a closer.
Yeah,
I quite like it.
And Tony keeps going in his third, and I think still has some great stuff. See God on my wave, I'm a natural Poseidon, so when a black on white boy ain't a matter for Trident.
Wasn't it a match for Poseidon?
I'm a match for Trident. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, really fucking good. Yeah. Isn't the third round the one where he had the whole like Luger larynx shoot and bang it? He canonized like a pardon soul.
Yes.
Like, that whole shit. Yeah, that was banging, man.
Yeah. You pitched up to test tone like a tuning fork.
Yeah. What round did he have the shit where he's like, it was in the second round, right? Where he's like, Ace Ventura could mean a pet detectives.
Yeah.
People didn't get that. He said if VC the sneak attack, it's a tet offensive, right? So it's like the wordplay there is if he see and if VC like Viet Cong.
Yeah.
It's a tet offensive, and then spitting flames with the same flamethrower that Tesla tested. He had some like banging stuff in this battle. It's just like unfortunate,
Through lyrics, use a dead language or a troubadour, and
I didn't get that.
Yeah, well, I guess a troubadour is sort of like an old Chaucerian balladeer, and he's referring to like the medieval tongue.
Okay. I don't know what it is that you just said. I don't understand that either. So.
I
guess I'm in trouble when I don't get the explanation.
Yeah. I'm bad at explaining and pronouncing, so I wouldn't feel too bad. When your people put in work, it's intravenous, and his people, work with Max.
So this guy gets intravenous when our people put in work, so it's Max, no Apple Genius.
You don't even chill when you do Netflix, apparently, which is a rumor that he's heard.
I'm sick of these bars, man. I don't even watch Netflix that much. Dude. Whatever, man.
I mean, I remember Jay Short against Frankie Fraser like, it sounds like you and Soul share a Netflix account and all this.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It comes up.
I get you just got to wear it, I guess. It's just like part of battle rap canon, and I accept the fact that I look like someone who fucking watches a lot of Netflix, I guess.
What's the last TV show you enjoyed out of interest?
I haven't watched a TV show in ages.
You don't anything you've watched lately other than The Wire?
Nah. What do you mean other than The Wire? What the fuck are you talking about? Last time I watched The Wire was like fucking 3 or 4 years ago or something, man. Man. I don't, fuck, man. I don't even know what TV show. Last TV show I actually watched. There was one though. I want to start like Altered Carbon, and when but I haven't yet.
No.
And when Tokyo Ghoul season 3 comes out, I'll watch that. But yeah, nothing at the moment, and nothing for maybe the last like year or so. There fucking was something I watched on Netflix with girlfriend. I can't remember what it was though. It was alright.
You mentioned Tokyo Ghoul in your third, don't you? Demon on His Case.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd recommend that. Have you seen Generation Kill out of interest?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, I'd recommend that. David Simon, it's follow-up to The Wire, essentially.
Cool.
Rolling Stone journalist embedded with the first Marines that went into Iraq. Short series. Ziggy's one of the main characters as well, which is
Ziggy
cool.
Sobotka.
Ziggy Sobotka's one of the main guys in it, yeah, and he basically plays himself as a Marine.
So here's a question about Ziggy Sobotka then.
Mm-hmm.
See, like in season 2, when Ziggy like whips it out.
Yeah.
Is that a prosthetic or is that real?
I'm pretty sure James Ransome, the actor, I'm pretty sure it's real, yeah.
That is fucking enormous.
It is. It's giant, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I imagine him and Stringer Bell would be, pretty
He doesn't
similar.
look like a guy with a big dick, does he?
No, not at all. But sometimes the crazy ones do.
We had this guy at our school who would just whip it out all the time, yeah. He was a fucking, but he was, really, he smelled awful. He was just, one of these kids from, sort of poor, no one from my school was,
Sure.
rich or whatever, but, there's levels, right?
Yeah.
This guy was, from a proper poor family, and he was just, he always smelled bad, and he had really bad skin, and just completely, unfuckable, right? Mm-hmm. But he just, would whip it out all the time. He just had this enormous penis. I was just what a waste.
What was his name?
I don't know if I should hot him up like that.
Yeah, maybe not. Someone might look him up, I suppose, but...
I don't know. Okay. But I don't have, I've tried, actually. I don't even know if I can remember his name. I remember we called him by his second name.
Okay.
But I can't remember what it was now.
Okay.
Escapes me.
Well, on that note, Tony sort of closes the battle, and he says that,
Brilliant segue.
One massive knob getting unleashed, one going back in. And, it's been a decent run, he says. And he shakes your hand, he says thank you, he says you're one of the best in the world. It's a really lovely moment.
Yeah, that was nice, man. I was because I knew he was going to do something at the end, because he had asked me to go first, because he was going to do some shit at the end. It was a sort of send-off thing. Didn't ask me, it was went through Shox, and Shox was like, do you mind? And I was like, nah, not at all. So that's why we arranged off cam that I would go first. So when I seen that he was had sort of given up on his round, that he had because there was obviously his choke was edited in the third round as well. There was a good 20-30 seconds, and then he goes into, I see he says fuck it. On the scene I was supposed to send so to hell John Constantine. He's honestly I'm tired. It's been a decent run. So I'm all right. He's going into this. I just stepped back because I thought he was just going to talk to the crowd, and I was I'll just give him this moment in it, where he can, not in a patronizing way, but in a respect way, you've earned this moment for it to be just you and them. So I just stepped back and was all right, do it. But then when he brought me into it, I just wasn't expecting it. It was really nice of him, man. Yeah. Really nice. And obviously I appreciate it greatly that he sees me as someone that would be worthy to go out on, because there's no doubt that it was him that was giving me a shot and not the other way around. Yeah, it's moving. If there was some sort of battle rap 30 for 30, I can imagine Shox's narration over the top of this clip. It's really sweet to see, and wraps up the battle. And I remember when we were all walking out, we were all given these little pieces of paper to write who we thought won on, and everyone was just why are they giving us? It was I appreciate the battle was meant to be judged.
Yeah. But I mean, it was
Yeah, that's it. They came to me backstage and they were we were going to judge it. We had all the judges set up. Everyone knew who was going to be judging, but and I was it's all good.
And what was the feeling like? I mean, you've won a lot of battles, you've participated in a lot of battles. Is it still that same elation when you win, or?
It's more like a relief when you... actually, you know what? Yeah, I was quite happy to beat Tony, because a lot of the times, in battles now, I'm more, relieved that I haven't lost, because I feel most of the time now in the UK, I have more to lose than my opponent does. My opponent's pretty much free rolling, especially online. I love my fans or whatever, but Jesus Christ, man, they think I'm Jesus or something. I just can't lose, but it's I definitely can and have done. So it feels like I've let everyone down whenever I lose a battle. So most battles I'm relieved that I haven't lost, rather than happy I've won. But this one, because everyone was coming into it I could go either way, I was happy that I had won for sure. Yeah.
And I mean, go watch it on King of the Dart. They're uploading the Volume 3 battles, in the coming weeks. and the partnership is very, very cool. So I mean, as you say, maybe not going to be battling too much. We're hopefully going to see you on a we obviously are going to see you sometime on a future.
Yeah, I'm not done.
Premier battles. Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. And there's a lot of battles people want to see as well, like you versus Gem.
There's fucking too many battles people want to see, man. There's just too many. They probably won't all happen, right? Because there's like 4 like Canadian and American battles that people want to see, right, that I get hit up about all the time. It's like Jonai, Chilla, Ilmac, and Thesaurus. And then there's some other names that have been thrown about recently that are a bit nutty. Not like nutty bad, but like how the fuck could that ever possibly happen? I'll tell you about them like after.
Okay.
But like, yeah, just baffling.
Yes.
So it's just, I won't be busy in a sense where I'll just do them all back to back. I'll still like keep battling at the same pace where I battle maybe like 2 or 3 times a year. But yeah, hopefully they'll all happen. The Gem one's a big one.
Yeah.
And we'll see, because there's I think there's like 3 different leagues all trying to set that up.
Yeah, that's
it's like a fucking bidding war, man.
It's the last match left. Other than Shotty Luna, it's the last big money match left in UK Battle Rap, I think.
But everyone always says that, right? Like everyone always this is the last one, and then like someone else will like make a name for themselves, and they'll be like, all right, this is the last one.
Yeah.
There'll always be someone that will make their name just as the previous generation is having their money match or whatever. So similar to the UFC, like when it's like when Chuck Liddell leaves, it's over, and it's like all the way down to like Conor McGregor, and then when McGregor leaves, it's over. It's never over.
Yeah,
there'll always be someone else.
But there's not many names left other than Gem in the UK, at least.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
Not right now.
No.
But like, that's not to say that by the time me and Gem battle, someone like fucking Bobby Rex hasn't made like this huge name, like, and like has this international following to a point where Bobby Rex versus Gemini is like a huge money match, or like Bobby Rex versus, if Bobby Rex gets his name to a point where his stock is at the same international level as like me or Gemini's, then Bobby Rex versus O'Shea's a fucking. But I know they battled once, but it was a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
That rematch would be like huge, right? Oh, Bobby on 100%. This guy's like stock's so big, like, and O'Shea the fucking last go, or like, and also like Shotty and Luna are like only a fucking bad decision away from coming back to battle rap, so you never know. And like Kruger, I'm pretty convinced he's done so, but there is like a lot of talent that's just like waiting in the wings, where if like the right person gets the right amount of attention or notoriety, they could be a potential money match as well. So I don't think the money matches are going to dry up anytime soon. Okay. Me versus Gem is obviously the one that is people want to see now, but that's not to say like after that happens there won't be one that replaces it.
Definitely not. And yeah, hopefully you versus Gem goes down soon. So I guess finally, how do people get at you, follow you? Are you still doing Twitch occasionally? I think you said you were last time. Like
super sporadically. Like, I mean, just if you want to like follow me, see what I'm up to and that, Twitter's probably the place to do it. That's the social media I'm most active on. So that's like at Soul Was Taken, SOULWASTAKEN. And if I ever do go live on Twitch, like I'll stream it out there. But if you want to follow me on Twitch, then that's twitch.com. So is it twitch.tv or twitch.com? It's twitch.com, right?
I think it's .tv.
Okay, whatever. Yeah. Twitch / Don't Blame Luck, all one word. Yeah. Right. And you can follow me on there, I guess.
Yeah, we'll pop.
How about you, Tom? How do they get at you?
Oh well, oh god, they've heard this ad nauseum. Yeah, at battlerapresume. Obviously, if you want to follow the show, battlerapresume@gmail.com. If you want to come on the show, email me there. We've got
I was going to say, if there's anywhere that anyone like wanted to go to sort of donate money, say in like small monthly increments. Yeah. Is there any like website that you're on that is like, do you do anything like that?
There's one that I'm aware of. Is there?
Right? Yeah. Are you on it? Or?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Well, let them know then.
Oh, yes, it's patreon.com/battlerapresume. It's BATTLE rap resume. If you want to help support us on there. And obviously follow all the Soul stuff we talk about as well. Leave us a review on iTunes. Soul, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I know everyone loves to hear you on the show as well. So thank you so much again for coming on, man.
The pleasure's all mine, man. Always good to catch up, Tom.